Welcome to Outta Pocket. Here's your host, Michael Davis.
It is time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis, joined by a full panel today with some breaking NBA news as well. We got Sean Lucas join us. We got Carson Williams. And then we have an out of pocket OG. We got John Cox, the one and only, join us today. Shout out to Carson and his haircut. We have to hype him up. We have to allow him to smile a little bit because his Cleveland Cavaliers give us some breaking news to top the show today. The Cleveland Cavaliers have fired their head coach, J.B. Bickerstaff, after they lost to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Carson, I'm going to put you on the spot first. What is your initial reaction? This news just broke about an hour ago that Bickerstaff is no longer with the organization.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised, but I don't like the move either. I didn't think that JB Bickerstaff ever had a fair shot in Cleveland. Darius Garland had that one breakout year where he was an all-star, and they were the fourth seed until Jared Allen got hurt, and then they ended up missing the playoffs after that. Made the playoffs last year, but just didn't have the team that they needed to really do anything. And then this year, we've just had a downfall from Darius Garland, injuries the whole time. I actually think he's done a pretty good job with what he's given. It's really hard to overcome injuries to your best players. Jared Allen hurt. They still made the second round. You had Darius Garland getting hurt in the middle of the year. And, I mean, really, he wasn't right until midway through that Orlando series, as we saw. And then and Darius Garland was also hurt earlier, and now he's just been awful. And it's really more roster construction to me. I think they tried something out with the two-guard look and then two small guard, two bigs, and it just didn't work. I don't really think that was Coach J.B. Bickerstaff's fault, though. I wouldn't have fired him. I don't know if it was Reggie Miller or maybe Richard Jefferson, but they said that you need a coach that can stay here and not get blamed for every time the team loses. And we're seeing that now with, you've got Jason Kidd still in Dallas. I don't know, I forget the Thunder's head coach name, but he's been there for a few years. So I just wish we would have stuck with them and got the roster construction right. And then if it didn't work, then we can throw it on JB Bickerstaff. But this time there were just so many circumstances where I think the Cavs actually overachieved. So yeah. I wouldn't have fired him. I don't think it's the right move. I'm pretty upset about it too. I liked him a lot.
And it feels sometimes premature to fire a head coach. John and I had conversations over dinner, coffee, FaceTime, whenever we could get together about what the Philadelphia 76ers were faced with last year when Doc Rivers was still the coach. They ended up firing him. John, when you look at this head coaching situation, when is the right time to dismiss a head coach?
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if them firing the coach was an attempt to hang on to Donovan Mitchell. If it's, hey, you can bring your guy in, you'll have a say over who comes in. It'll be an offensive guy. It'll be whatever. I think Darius Garland or he switched agents. They had the same agent. They don't any longer. So I'm wondering if this is probably not the end of the shakeup. Maybe a Darius Garland trade. But I think it was probably the right move. If it means you get to keep Donovan Mitchell. It'll probably mean you have to shake up the roster a little bit. And I think that's okay. Only guys you should really be trying to hang on to, in my opinion, are probably Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. Everyone else would be awesome to keep, but at the end of the day, Evan Mobley has a chance to be one of the better, forwards / centers. He's a very unique player. He can do it all defensively. He has that ceiling of, maybe the best defensive player that we have in the NBA. And then Donovan Mitchell, I mean, we've seen him time in and time out perform in the playoffs. Not something he's afraid to do. So If Evan Mobley can develop, if Donovan Mitchell can stay, I think it's the right move. If not, it's a lateral move. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm of the opinion that it might be an attempt to try and keep Donovan in Cleveland.
Now, I've obviously had little time to digest what had happened, and I never even thought about, hey, this could be an attempt to keep Donovan Mitchell, bring in a coach that he likes. Sean's Lakers are in a similar situation. They're looking for a head coach right now. You got to obviously appease LeBron James and whatever coach he wants to bring in. That might be JJ Redick. Sean, do you think this is just one big attempt to keep Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland?
Yeah, I got to agree with John on that one, Mike. I was a little shocked when they fired JB because if you look back in the 90s, coaches had a chance to stay with a franchise if you were going in the right direction. KB did everything to get this team in the right direction. Play-in game 21-22, 22-23 season, lost first round against the Knicks. Knicks were a hot team. We saw that this season, same team. This year, beat the Magic. If you go back to the archives out of pocket, I picked the Magic to beat the 4th seed, the Cavs. They were able to beat them in 7. And I feel like what John said is right. This was the last swing at Cleveland to try to please Donovan Mitchell. It just shows you once again with the Lakers situation with LeBron. The players have control of everything now in the NBA. And if you want to keep a star player on your team so they don't go hit the free agency market or ask to be traded, you got to be able to bring in guys they want and the coaches they want. So I feel like this is what happened to JB. Same thing with Darvin Ham in LA. I just think that this guy had something going with Cleveland, and I think Cleveland, if they would have kept him, gave him a chance to bring in some more guys around Donovan Mitchell, you're talking about a team now that could have got to the next round, it got past the second round, and got to the third round of the playoffs. So I'm a little disappointed, but we see this trend every season out of the NBA with coaches and players.
And it's so frustrating because, like, if you just look at it on paper, you got to the Eastern Conference semifinals and you lost to the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. That is not a letdown by any means with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Carson's went through probably some horrible Cleveland years, especially without LeBron since 03. Man, there was that one year where as soon as he left for Miami, the Cavs were the worst team in the NBA. That's how they got Kyrie Irving, and they were still bad until LeBron came back. And then
after he left, he went to LA, and we were the worst team in the NBA again.
Yeah,
it's the LeBron effect.
It's kind of interesting. LeBron's played for all our teams except John's Philadelphia 76ers. And John's like, wait up, he might come to Philadelphia this offseason.
I seen LeBron. I thought I would never say this day because I'm a LeBron guy. But right now I'm at the point of this in LA. I will send LeBron back to Cleveland right now if I could.
Hey, I mean, it's a LeBron team. It's a LeBron organization aim where he goes. Maybe it is the right direction for, a team not to build around an aging superstar. But yeah, that was the big breaking news that we had. You guys can be a part of the show as well. So subscribe to our Tobacco Roads YouTube channel, and any comment you put up on our YouTube channel gets flashed up on the screen. You get a shout out on the radio on our YouTube channel. It's pretty cool. But now that we've got the big breaking news quickly out of the way, we had some NBA playoff action here the last couple of nights. We took yesterday off. I released my wrestling podcast, but the Celtics Pacers kicked off the conference finals, and I was shocked, guys, because the Celtics did end up winning. Jaylen Brown hit a 3-pointer at the end of regulation to force overtime. The Celtics pulled away, but people probably didn't realize Indiana stuck around there. Indiana was actually in the fight, and honestly should have taken game 1 in Boston, which would have been a huge momentum swing for the series. So I wanted to pose the question, does Indiana stand a chance, and did they prove in game 1 that they can hang with Boston for this series? Carson?
I don't really I don't trust them. I'm not going to pick them to win the series by any means. I think that they showed that they could stick around with Celtics better than we expected. Their offense is just so good, just like a well-oiled machine. And there comes a point where your offense is so good that no defense can really contain it. And I think Pacers might be at that level, other than, Minnesota with how great they are. We'll get to that later. But yeah, I think that the Pacers showed that they can play pretty well with the Celtics. They're off just because of how great their offense is. That being said, I don't think that they have any real chance. Celtics have a problem at home. Jason Tatum even admitted it, where they just get comfortable and they don't really they're not worried. And you could see in this game, they had to be worried because they were about to lose. They pulled out another close game, and that alone for the Celtics is incredible, just going forward. But yeah, I think the Celtics now are going to be in they're in worried mode. They're not going to be able to get comfortable anymore. So this might have actually hurt the Pacers more than it helped them, just losing this close game. Because if you're in a close game with the Celtics, you've got to pull it out.
Yeah, and especially we've talked about here in the recent weeks on Out Pocket, the Boston Celtics tend to play down to their competition, which is not a good thing. I do not recommend it. John, I know we've been doing predictions here on Out Pocket the last few days, but I haven't asked you your prediction for this series, and did it get altered based on what happened in Game 1?
Maybe, because to say that the Pacers should have won this game is a complete understatement. They were up 3, and I think they had 3 chances to inbound the ball and either missed an obvious rebound or just hit it out of bounds, couldn't grab a hold of it, and just completely fell apart. I mean, it was it reminded me of the Philadelphia-New York Game 2 thing where, Nick Nurse tried to get a timeout off, and he couldn't. But this time it was just completely – all you have to do is inbound the ball. It's not even to get the rebound and keep it away. It's just inbound the ball from the side, and they just couldn't do it. With that being said, I don't know. I really like this offense. The Pacers are so deep. Maybe not having a guy as established as a star might actually help them. Their offense seems to run really well. Halliburton is a guy who likes to get others involved as opposed to, kind of just shooting every single time he gets the ball, that kind of star. So I like the Pacers in this series. I like their bench. I like TJ McConnell, especially if Porzingis does not come back. I think that this could run away from them very quickly. That being said, I would still pick the Celtics. Their defense, their star power, their 2 best players are a lot better than their 2 best players. But I think we're in for an interesting series.
Now, no disrespect to my Boston Celtics fans out there. If you're listening, your comment might not pop up on the YouTube channel, depending on how you react to this. But if you thought adding Kristaps Porzingis was going to be the game changer this year, you guys were wrong. If you didn't expect Porzingis to get hurt when it mattered most, what were you thinking? What Delulu world were you a part of? Because I was I was it's silly to think that the unicorn would not hop into Lululand and actually get hurt, because guess what? He would hop off a bus and get hurt. He would twist an ankle somehow. But this is an offensive series because Indiana doesn't play defense, but they can light it up. Boston had to score 133 points just to beat Indiana, 133 to 128. John mentioned Tyrese Halliburton. What a game. 25 points, 10 assists. He had 6 threes, but he had 3 steals, and he was the juice. But it wasn't just him. It was Miles Turner. It was Pascal Siakam, who I believe Siakam won that ring that year with the Toronto Raptors. With Sean, that makes me excited for this series.
I'm excited for it, but I'm still taking Boston. I mean, don't get me wrong. I watched a lot of indie games this whole season. They are the funnest team to watch to me, besides the Knicks, when the Knicks had everybody going. They spread the ball. Tyler can shoot lights out. We know that. Siakam's doing what he did in Toronto. It's spilled over in Indy now. And they got a good team. But you said it best when you say the Celtics play down to their competition.
Mm-hmm.
And when this happens, we saw it last year, and not going to say playing down their competition with the Miami team last year is bad, because Miami was good last year with Jimmy B and everybody. But
absolutely.
this team right here, if the Celtics take it lightly, it could go 7. I still think the Celtics can get them out of here in 6. I will give them 6 because I think that Indy will at least get one, or at least get 1 or 2. At least get one in Indy. I will give Indy that. They'll get one at home. But I think what we've been waiting to see from the Boston Celtics since they put this team together is that killer instinct that the Bulls had in '96, that the Lakers had when we went back-to-back 3 years. We have not seen that. We've seen Tatum take over. We seen them have that spurt, but when are we going to get the Celtics team to come out on the floor, say we're home, we're going to take care of business, this is our house, we're going to protect the rim, you're not going to put up 100 points, and we're going to lock you down. I think that game right there is a wake-up call. I think game 2 is the new Celtics will come back out with that killer instinct. But I'm still taking the Celtics, but it's going to be a good series. 6 games. Boston is 6.
That was my prediction heading into this series as well. One of the things that was kind of shocking to me just to watch this postseason is how Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have played well together. Dallas won last night against Minnesota 108-105. Kyrie put up 30. Luka put up 33, 8 and 6, and 3 steals as well. John, I received a text from a guy that you and I are both familiar with, Jackson Cordray, and Jackson texted me. He's like, basically like, I told you so about Kyrie working out in Dallas. Are you shocked that this is actually working out for the Mavericks?
No, I don't think so. I mean, all the stuff that was going on with Kyrie, no matter your opinion, he's a phenomenal basketball player, and he's just playing basketball, and it is so fun to watch. It's really incredible. It kind of makes you even more sad, that we didn't get this for like 2 years. But when he is going, it's incredible. He's also playing a little bit more point guard, I think, maybe next to James Harden. James Harden wanted to be that point guard. Kyrie got to be the shooting guard. But now, I mean, he's distributing, he's playing defense, he's getting everybody involved. I mean, there were times last night when, it was like, oh, that would be a good shot to take, and he would still find the next guy. He would still bounce to the corner, and it's just a slightly better shot. But, it just seemed, a guy at Kyrie's level should shoot that, and he's not. He's distributing it. He's moving it around. He doesn't mind giving Luka the ball, getting Luka involved. I mean, he got a key offensive rebound last night towards the end of the game. So he's just involved everywhere, and I think he's just enjoying basketball again, which is awesome.
Which it might be the factor, because Kyrie might be enjoying basketball for the first time since he was with the Cavaliers and he was winning those championship with LeBron, Kevin Love. Carson, you've watched Kyrie Irving from the beginning of his career all the way up until now. What do you make of Kyrie's attitude change? And is that the reason for him and Luka doing so well?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest reason, honestly. And I don't think that's super controversial either. Kyrie said it himself. And Cleveland, he was the second fiddle, and he thought he could be the first. He thought he could be the lead guy. And in Boston, he was the lead guy, and it didn't work out. Well, you could argue that with Jason Tatum, but that was the point, is that Kyrie wanted to be the lead guy in Boston. Didn't work out. Then he, teamed up with KD and James Harden on the Nets. Didn't work out. And now in Dallas, he has said, like, I'm the Robin to Luka's Batman. He also came out and talked about his Cleveland days and said that, said exactly what I just said. He wanted to be the lead guy, and his ego was getting in the way. And now he's just a basketball player. That's all he wants to do, and he just wants to win. And you can see it in the way he plays. Like John said, he's playmaking better than he ever has. He's defending better than he ever has, which is really impressive. Just taking into terms his age but his play style allows for that more, and he has really been a good defender this postseason, whereas in Cleveland he was viewed as a negative defender. So that's good. He just wants to win basketball games, and he's really a leader. He's really the veteran presence that this Dallas group needs. I am honestly kind of surprised that they worked out. I didn't like the fit super well at first, just because everybody was comparing it to like LeBron and Kyrie. But Luka doesn't get downhill the way that LeBron can or that LeBron did. So I thought that the spacing would be great, but I just thought that it would be a little redundant. I was wrong. Kyrie just adapted perfectly to Luka's game, and it's because he's just a good complementary basketball player. One of the best twos that you can find in the league right now.
Wow. And now that he's accepted that role as a number 2 and non-number 1, Dallas might have a chance to beat this Minnesota team. Sean, how do you see this series going down as we get further into these games?
Can't talk bad about Kyrie because he's a Duke guy. You know, we're Duke guys on this show. But when he got sent trade to Dallas, when he went to Dallas, I didn't know how this was going to work out because, you know, I said, will Kyrie be able to accept the role because it's Luka's team? We're seeing that now. But if you guys think that Dallas is going to beat Ant-Man and this top defense that just beat the defending champs in Game 7, if anybody there watching out of party thinks that, then I want you to go back and watch all 7 games of that Minnesota-Denver series and see why Minnesota is the hottest team out right now. Minnesota, I just think you got to look at what Kyrie and Luka got to do. And I looked at the minutes last night. PJ, 41 minutes, 13 points. Luka, 41 minutes, 33 points. Kyrie, 40 minutes, 30 points. Then you look at the Wolves, and this is the difference between them and the Wolves last night. McDaniels, 24 points, 39 minutes. Cat, 16. Rudy, 12. Ant-Man, 19. Conley Jr., 6. Ant-Man just did not have a good night. When Ant-Man comes back game 2, he's going to be serious. He's going to be ready. He's going to lock down on defense. They're going to get in Kyrie and Luka's passing lane. They're going to steal the ball, get turnovers going, get that home crowd behind them, and it's going to be pretty much a boat race to 100 for those guys. I still think that this game, I mean, I'm glad Luka and Kyrie got there because I really want to see Luka get to Western Conference Final because I kept thinking he was going to be one of those guys like Barkley. Got there, but, you know, never got to the well. Barkley got to the finals, but I mean Western Conference Finals. But be one of those guys who never got that far in the playoffs before you're gonna get up and left Dallas. Glad they're there, but I just think this Minnesota team is still too much firepower, too much lockdown defense for Dallas.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I personally thought Luka Doncic should have been the MVP of this year. Nikola Jokic obviously getting that honor for 3 times in the last 4 years. Joel Embiid got it only because of voter fatigue. John fully agrees with me on that one. But like it was interesting. The all NBA teams came out, the defensive teams came out as well. And I was noticing the Kia NBA's all defensive team voting. Now, hear this first team. The first team is Rudy Gobert, pretty much unanimous. Bam Adebayo, Herb Jones from New Orleans, Anthony Davis from Sean's Lakers, but for the first time ever, a rookie got on the NBA all-defensive first team, and that's Victor Wembanyama. That is incredible. Like, I don't know what's more impressive, Rudy Gobert having a unanimous first-team ballot or Victor Wembanyama getting on there as a rookie. What do you guys make of this? And look at this teams of, you know, you got Herb Jones, you got Anthony Davis, you got Wembanyama, you got Gobert, you got Bam. I feel like if you put that team together and you just had like a full defensive team in the NBA playing 82 games, they make the playoffs and they actually make a deep run because we all know defense still wins championships. Sean, I'm not out of pocket for that, am I?
No, not at all. I mean, those guys right there, you can build a franchise around them, Mike. I mean, those guys are the defense players. And what wins, you just said defense wins championships. What my old coach used to say, defense wins championships, offense sells tickets. But if you got those guys that are rim protecting, they're stopping shots from getting in, they're locking down defenders, they're protecting the rim so people are not scoring, it gives your team the load where you could go down and score and get up. So I think you could build a team around there. And you got to look, Rudy's still in the playoffs right now. My guy in Boston, they're still in the playoffs. So his team's in there still in the playoffs because these guys playing defense. I think you could build a team around them, but of course, you still would need a scorer, which they have. Rudy has Ant-Man. Boston has Jason Tatum, so they have a scorer with that defender. So I think you could build a team around them as long as you had a true legit scorer who could go get you 20, 30 a night.
John, when you're looking at this team, I got scrolling down, Bam Adebayo, Herb Jones, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Davis, and Rudy Gobert. It almost seems like a fantasy team you would book on 2K. Obviously, I'm better at you on 2K than you are. So if you put this team together, how far would this team go?
It would be interesting to see, who gets to play the one, who gets to play the two. And then, Rudy is obviously playing the 5. I think 80 is definitely playing the 4. But I don't know if you guys saw this last night, but there were 2 Karl Anthony Towns lobs to Rudy Gobert. And I actually stood up. I had to leave the room. I had to walk away because it was maybe the freakiest NBA play that I've seen live. To watch them run a pick and roll with Cat and Rudy, and then for Cat to throw it up and for Rudy to actually catch it and dunk the ball, it was incredible. But yeah, I guess if you were to put all these teams in, I think they would probably make to the postseason. I don't know how far they would go without the 3-point shooting. That is definitely a key aspect to winning a championship nowadays. I think that's why the Wolves have gone so far. You've got Cat who can shoot threes. Everybody can shoot threes. That's why the Nuggets struggled. Their shots didn't go in. Same with the Lakers, not enough 3-point shooting. So I don't know if they would be contenders without the 3-point shooting, but they would definitely be fun to watch, especially if we just say let Victor Wembanyama run point. I think that would be incredible.
Dude, Victor Wembanyama running point, he can shoot a 3. Anthony Davis is starting to increase his range. Bam Adebayo can increase his range and shoot a 3. Carson, this team could compete for a chip.
No, y'all are all out of pocket. The spacing is horrendous, awful. Anthony Davis, not a good shooter. Victor Wembanyama should not be running point. He just shouldn't be. We saw him when they were trying to run him more on the perimeter early in the season, and when they put him at center, he instantly became a top 15 player in the league. He should not be running point. Herb Jones is not a creator. There's no spacing, there's no shooting. This team isn't making the playoffs. We've seen great defensive teams crumble in the playoffs because they have no offense. Offense is more important than defense, people. I know it wasn't like that in the old days when you had Bill Russell winning 11 chips because he was the greatest defensive player alive. But that doesn't work anymore. You have to have offense is always going to be great defense. Always. Especially if you have 4 interior defenders and 1 perimeter defender. No, that's not going to work. I think it's fun to think about if you give them a good bench, maybe you take a couple guys off the first team and put them on the second team, and a couple guys off the second team, put them on the first team. Then we can have a conversation. But a starting lineup of Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, Herb Jones, Rudy Gobert, and who was the other one? Sorry.
Herb Jones, Bam Adebayo, Anthony
Bam
Davis.
Adebayo. Yeah, that's not going to work. No, doesn't work. But it's fun. I like the discussion.
Well, here we could even put the second team as the bench of Alex Caruso, Jalen Suggs from Orlando, Derek White, Jaden McDaniels, who's doing great stuff in Minnesota right now, Drew Holiday. You're telling me this team couldn't win a championship?
With that backup, I think that they could probably make a Western Conference Finals or an Eastern Conference Final. In the East, they're probably making the finals. But you would have to switch lineups around too in rotations. You would probably have Derek White, Jaden McDaniels. I don't know. You'd have to play with that lineup. You'd probably put Anthony Davis and Victor Wembanyama in there. I don't know who would play the 3. But yeah, maybe you could put slide Suggs in, but that would be small still. But it would be a good team. It's not winning the finals though.
I'm gonna go on NBA 2K sometime when I have a chance and put it together, and I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna just
I'll do it right after this.
Do it. Let's get those results on our social media. You guys can follow us on Instagram at outpocket_TRSR. We're up against it, but we have the Eastern Conference game tonight, Celtics Pacers. Right before we leave, real quick, who do you got winning tonight in game 2? Sean, Celtics or Pacers?
Celtics.
John?
Going Pacers.
He's going Pacers. Carson?
I'm going to say Celtics.
Well, I just need to go 50-50 on this. I'm going to go Pacers as well. Seeing what they did in Boston, I don't think they let up like they did the other night, and we even the series up 1-1 apiece before we go back to Indiana. Guys, thank you so much for hopping on today. Thank you everybody who watched on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We were on all the socials. Subscribe to the Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. Thank you, John. Thank you, Carson. Thank you, Sean. And we will be back tomorrow on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis, Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, for Out of Pocket with Michael Davis.